Yesterday, FM24 was announced, and I have partnered up with Fanatical to get you guys an insane discount on the game. Using the link found down below this video and in the comments, you can secure yourself 22% off FM24. That includes beta access, it's on the Steam platform, the key that you get, and Fanatical are a Sega-approved retailer. Save some money, support the channel, check out the link down below, and without further ado, enjoy this transfer special. It's everyone's favourite kind of episode. It's a transfer special. Welcome back to Rebuilding Dortmund. Today is episode number 8, and today we need to prepare for our impending promotion. Last episode, we won the second Bundesliga title convincingly in the end. We wrapped up the season, and now my aim for next season is to go straight into the Bundesliga and straight away challenge at the top. I want to be alongside Union Berlin. I want to be in the European football spots. I would love to get Champions League football. For that to happen, though, this team is going to need strengthening. Money to burn, players to sign, one wild card. Where are we going to use that? We'll find out today. Now, one thing I do want to talk about right away is the contract expiry date of some of our players. I have taken advantage of the fact that we went down to the second Bundesliga, and with a lot of the players I signed, with players whose contracts I renewed, I added in the clause that if we get promoted, they get 3 years added onto their contract. Players like Max Doppler contracted now to 2033, and whilst £40,000 might be a little bit of an overpay now for the 18-year-old, given his current ability, I feel like longer term, it's just going to look like insane business. One player who I do not intend on replacing this year is Jovic. This guy now playing for the Bosnian national team. He is their starting goalkeeper at the age of 19. He has developed tremendously. 15 clean sheets in 32 games, and as you can see here, he is on a similar kind of contract, £42,000 all the way until 2033. There's a whole load of other players in this list as well who have similar deals. In Killy, Arian B, even Bino Gittins, I was able to secure a new contract to, and perhaps the most notable of all these players, in terms of the meaningful contribution I think they're going to make this coming season, Adriano. This year, 13 goals, 6 assists from the centre of midfield in 28 starts is superb, and he is a player who I feel like we really can build around. Here is kind of a placeholder starting 11 for the team going into this Bundesliga season. You'll notice the gap at right back. The reason for that, of course, is we've already agreed to sign Thailand Bullet. I wanted him last year. He went to Leipzig. He recognised his mistake. He saw the error of his ways. We picked him up for what I think is going to be a bargain, £7.75 million. But even with Bullet joining at right back, the first team is looking a little lighter for wear. Currently 20 players in the first team. Combination of reasons for that. First and foremost, we are selling some players, as you can see here. In fact, Romeo here, still on his way out the door. £2.2 million we're going to get for him. Collins is leaving the club for a couple £1 million as well at 23 years old. Great homegrown at club player. Not really short on them. And Lotka this year has not been happy being backup goalkeeper. It does mean there is only one first-team goalkeeper right now, so a backup goalkeeper is the order of the day, although I don't feel like that's going to be a difficult player to pick up, really. Anyway, the date in game right now is the 10th of June. The transfer window doesn't officially open until the 1st of July, which, as you can see here, it's a little way away still. Of course, we need to have our promotion confirmed. That will see our reputation change a little bit, maybe allow us to attract in some more players. And actually, I think for the here and now, I'm going to focus on trimming down the second team a little bit, and also the youth team. The youth team, I want to say it's slightly out of hand. No, this is absolutely ridiculous. The players at the top here do not need to be here. People will be upset if I don't mention it. Marco Reus is retiring. I did try to talk him out of retirement, but he really didn't feature for our team this year. Had a couple of injuries. Just a player who didn't really make sense to use all that often, especially when I was going to be paying him £17,000 per appearance. When I look at the first team right now, there's not a load of sellable assets, so perhaps it's a good job we've already got some money in the transfer kitty. £66 million should be more than enough, I want to think, to build a team that can challenge for European football. Okay, first sale of the episode. Romeo, oh Romeo, you are not worthy of being in our team, Romeo. Yeah, I don't know if £2.2 million is a great deal of money, but he played one game for us this year. This probably isn't going to surprise anyone. Borussia Dortmund tumbled down the European club rankings. Bizarrely, if we could get European football next year, we might still have some leftover coefficient points from previous years, but yeah, we're quite far down this list now. First transfer bid that's unsolicited for one of our players of the year. Gruder, bid from Leeds United. They've offered 8.5 million, could be worth just shy of £11 million. He has no interest in joining Leeds United. Things you love to see. His current value, by the way, 7.8 to 10 million pounds. I'm a little bit surprised it's as low as that, given the season he's just had. Obviously, he's 23 years old, but I do feel like in Football Manager this year, players do tend to improve if you give them enough first-team football, and if they've got that potential to fulfill all the way into their kind of mid to late 20s. So Gruder, I still think can get a little bit better. Second Bundesliga signing of the season is Gruder. The runners-up, all of our players, which when you consider how many players we signed, maybe not entirely surprising, especially with the transfer fees we paid. It feels like it was a bit of an unfair competition, this. Okay, the season has now officially ticked over. We are a Bundesliga club once more. It says so here. Aim for the season according to the board, avoid relegation. I'm hoping for that and a little bit more. You can see here we've terminated some affiliations, including our affiliation with the BVB International American North Texas Academy. Might seem weird, this. How can you terminate your affiliation with an academy that you set up that uses your name in America? We won't question it. So here is the Bundesliga table, and the Bundesliga teams we are going to be competing with. Bayern Munich won the league for a second year in a row last season. And if we look at the preview for the season, newly promoted, prediction early on, 5th place. I've always liked the media. Great blokes. You can see here the media dream 11. Interesting to note that Heidel in goal was a player that I signed for Union Berlin that Leipzig went on to pick up after I left. They signed him for less than £16 million, and now he is considered the best goalkeeper in the league. That's just sad, isn't it? I will say on that screen we just looked at, media prediction of 5th. On our screen here, media prediction 11th. I don't like this media. I assume it's different media that do this one. Don't like these guys as much. Okay, I'm currently looking at partially German players, and I can already tell you that with our promotion now, there are significantly better players popping up on this list. Players like Nelson Viper, who left Freiburg in this save game to go to Manchester United for £28 million. He apparently is available for £33 to £40 million. I also noticed on this list, Max Marstedt, who was top goal scorer in the Bundesliga with Union Berlin last season, got 21 goals to his name. I'm going to say he might be available. No, he is available for £23 million. Right now, he's on £47,000 a week. I'm very tempted to submit a bid. Just as a reminder as well, we are limited to only German players with 2 exceptions. Each year, we're allowed 1 international wildcard from anywhere in the world and 1 further player from Switzerland, from Austria, or from Liechtenstein. Still holding out for the Liechtensteiner Wunderkid. I think for the release clause of £23 million, it'd be silly not to make a bid for Max Marstedt. As good as Doppler has been this year, there is definitely still a Makoko-sized hole in our team. When I look at our striking options, we've got Doppler, we've got DP, we've got Gruder. Besides those 3, not really anyone else I'd like to call upon. Duranville, don't want to play Duranville at striker. So we'll get the wheels moving on a Max Marstedt bid. I don't really like signing more Union Berlin players, especially one of their better players, but he's a player who I feel like is just the perfect fit for our squad in our current situation. Apparently, he is dubious about negotiating terms, and PSG are interested in him. Well, they're going to be triggering his release clause. He wants to treat us as a stepping stone. I'll promise him a big wage rise, and I'll promise him continental football in the 28-29 season in a few years' time. How much is he going to want a week? He wants £105,000, but also a 10% yearly wage rise. It's really like he's trying to upset me. Okay, I've lowered his relegation release clause down to £10 million. I've removed some of the other clauses and lowered his wage offer, and he's bumped it up to 130k. I'm going to play hardball here. I want him to sign for 100,000. He really doesn't want to sign for 100,000, but finally, we have negotiated it down. It's not a cheap deal, but I feel like he's pretty much our #1 priority right now. I am perhaps a little bit curious, actually, to make a bid for Viper, who, of course, is playing for Manchester United, just to see what his wage demands might be like. But he is already on £100,000, and if we just compare him with Max Marstedt, I think it's safe to say that Max is clear, at least in my humble opinion. I think as a striker, he's just the better rounded option. I'm not going to get carried away thinking that Max is definitely going to be our player, because PSG are talking to him, and not many players turn down PSG. I just need to hope they don't make a bid. I hate everything and I want to cry. PSG have made a bid. I knew that was going to happen. Everything hurts. I suppose the question now becomes, who would be the plan B German striker? Malik Tillman is available. He's at Almeria. Of course, we had him at Union Berlin back in the day. Viper is available allegedly for between 33 and 40 million pounds. If I go and actually talk about it, that is the confirmed price. Obviously, he's not as good as Max Morstead. He's going to cost more and he wants more wages. You know what? I'm just going to hope that this man doesn't just want to secure the bag. Maybe he just wants to stay in Germany and be near his family. Or maybe he just wants to take a load of Qatari money. Who knows? Leeds United have just come back in for Gruder, offering £14 million. He doesn't want to join them. I don't want him to join them. Rejected. Kind of suspected this would happen. Max Morstead signs for PSG, £120,000 a week as a squad player. I can't really compete with that. Looking through the other striking options available, I'll be real with you, I feel rather uninspired. I'm beginning to think we might be looking at a wild card striker. Now, before we go looking around the world, we are going to load up our filter here for the Austrian, Liechtensteiner and Swiss players and just take a look. I feel like when it comes to these kind of players, there's less options available. Usually, this wildcard is good for a squad player. Very occasionally, you can get a good starter. Looking at the striking options available, Rocco Simic is top of this list. Croatian international, but partially Austrian nationality. I'm not wowed by him. One player who I have had half an eye on, though, is Junior Adamu. This guy, Austrian international, 18 caps, 17 goals last year, 22 goals the year before that, 14 the year before that. He's very consistently been in the top 5 goal scorers in the Bundesliga. He's not that different, I don't feel like, in terms of mould of player to Doppler. In fact, I think if you compare the two of them here, you could argue that in a season or two, Doppler could be better. As things stand, though, Junior does have the edge. 21 to 30 million pounds, though, asking price is not cheap. I've got to feel like there's better value for money options out there. I was just looking at potential wildcard strikers and players that are accomplished at striker transfer listed. You'll never guess who showed up if I scroll down a little bit. Where is he? He's around here somewhere. You've probably seen him screaming his name. Jadon Sancho. Transfer listed still. Entering his last year of his contract at Manchester United on £325,000 a week. Currently, asking price is £8.8 million. I'm going to make that bid. I just want to know how much money he wants wage-wise. I don't necessarily think Jadon Sancho is the striking option I need, but he would be a fun signing. If, that is, he was interested in even joining us. Apparently, we won't meet his contract demands, so he doesn't want to talk to us. I feel like not many teams are going to be able to reach his wage demands. Maybe we can get him on a free next year. I'm still going to hold out hope. Been looking through some younger striking options here. In terms of current ability, I feel like the best player on this list is Cali Muendo. Not a bad player at all. Wondering how much he'd actually be available for. 21 to 25 million pounds for the Frenchman. Super consistent, loves important matches, formerly of PSG. Has been playing for Stuttgart for the last 2 years. Looks great on paper. Has only got 10 goals in 2 years. Maybe a red flag. There's players on this list that you might look at and go, well, they must be good. Players like Victor Roque, who in game is absolutely amazing when it comes to his potential. In this universe, playing, of course, for Barcelona, where he's moved in real life, has been playing some regular minutes in La Liga, but has not really developed at all. At 22 years old, he still could get better, but I'm not really looking for a player who can get better. I'm looking for someone to spearhead our attack. Wilfred Gnonto plays for Brighton. He's actually probably the best option out there. What does his agent think he might be available for? 41 to 60 million pounds. This guy has some absolutely crazy physicals. In this save game, Brighton got relegated a couple of years ago. They're still in the Championship now. Media prediction of first. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, you can see here, they got taken over by a tycoon, having been relegated. Gnonto is listed as their key man. He's had a couple of little issues with injuries, but 30 goals in 80 games in the Championship over the last 2 years isn't bad. I'm tempted. His injury history does scare me slightly, but I look at his physicals, I look at his mentals, and I'll tell you what, as far as advanced forwards go, he looks rather good. The only issue, I suppose, is his aerial ability, but at 23 years old, I feel like I can look beyond that. It wouldn't be a cheap deal. It'd be a lot of our transfer budget. I'm going to offer a non-negotiable £40 million and just see what Brighton say. He's already unhappy at the club and asking to leave, so I'm hoping by making this kind of bid, I can maybe unsettle him. Okay, bid of £40 million rejected. If I just offer 42.5, they feel like they can get more. An improved offer is required. I'll offer you 44. I'm locking it in. If they turn it down, I'm hoping that he kicks up a stink. £44 million bid. Rejected by Brighton. I'm going to cancel this offer. I'm not prepared at this moment in time to spend £44 million on a striker I'm not completely sold on. Or am I? Not yet. I'm not that desperate. Aston Villa issuing a Bino Gittins inquiry. Apparently, Bino Gittins incredibly interested in joining them. He's just signed a contract extension, as a reminder. He's here for the next 7 years. I don't have to sell him. He's English. Surely that's going to increase his value a lot. He's valued between 20 and 27 million pounds. I want 60 million. They've offered 22. I'm going to try and convince him to stay. You don't want to leave. You don't want to leave. What would it do to keep you here? He wants to be playing in the Champions League. Would a contract tempt you to stay? What about increasing the asking price? How much does he think he's worth? I'll say 35 million. He doesn't want 35. 34 and a half. 34 and a half. If I got a 34.5 million pound bid for him, would I sell him for that? I'd certainly consider it. We'll just hit continue and hope no one bids on him. Then I don't have to worry about it as a dilemma. Hopefully the first of many transfers over this summer transfer window. Bullet joins the club. Good little right-back option. Apparently he'll need to start well to win over the fans. Elsewhere, more bids for Gruder, none that I'm even going to entertain. Upon our promotion, you can see his transfer value has instantly shot up. I don't want to sell him. If the season started today, this would be our starting 11 for the first Bundesliga game of the season. It's a strong starting 11. It's a good starting 11. I do feel like a striker over Max Dopper would be ideal. And then beyond that, to be honest, there's no other spot that I'm immediately concerned about. It's all about the striker, maybe a little bit of depth. I don't know about anyone else. I don't really use the new squad planner very much, especially with, in my skin, the old kind of squad depth screen being available. I prefer this as a visual representation of the team. Here is our squad at the moment. This is with the ability set to 3 stars. If we lower it to 2 stars, the depth, to be honest, across the board kind of looks acceptable. I feel like Bullet, Mane at right back are fine with Magala as backup. Becker, Arian B, good left back options. I don't love Prince Hanning as our kind of immediate backup left back. I think that's definitely an area of the squad we need to improve. When it comes to the midfield trio of Adriano, Kameri and Nkili, no plans on replacing any of them this year. I think they're all Bundesliga quality players. I think there maybe is an option to get in a bit more depth. Sissoko is an okay option, but maybe we could do a little bit better. The other option we have in Zonarek is a player with a little bit of potential. We did have that big offer for that I didn't take last January. It was like £20 million. I might live to regret not taking that. And then when it comes to the wide areas, we've got Duranville, we've got Bino Gittins. Maybe one other super good wide option would be the order of the day alongside the striker. And with that, we would have a squad of around 24 players, which, given the fact that this year we're only in the Bundesliga and DFB Pokal, I feel like would be more than adequate. Okay, I think I've now got the plan in my head for when it comes to transfers. Left back, backup centre mid options, a good striking option, depth in the wide area, looking at maybe 4 or 5 new players, plenty of money to make it happen. In fact, £69 million, and plenty of time to make it happen as well. The Bundesliga season doesn't start for 44 days. Whilst I'm becoming increasingly more convinced that our wildcard is going to be used in the striking department, we do have our other bonus player. And in terms of the Austrian and Swiss players available, there is actually a growing list of players here. I guess it comes down to which of these is the order of the day. Which of these is going to solve a problem that I've just mentioned? Where do we need the depth? One position I didn't previously mention is the centre-back area of the pitch. Of course, we brought in Bamidele, we brought in Arian B, who was great for us when we were challenging for European football at Union Berlin. He wasn't quite Champions League qualifying quality. At that point, he did become our kind of second-choice left-back and third-choice centre-back. Given the fact that I am talking about the lack of a left-back, another way we could approach that problem would be to sign someone to replace Arian B at centre-back. He then becomes the backup left-back / centre-back option. We still then have Tarek Buchmann, who's a decent enough centre-back, I feel like, to be the 4th choice. And behind him, Scholl would then become the 5th choice, which, whilst he's not the craziest of players, given the lack of competitions, it's going to be very unlikely we ever really need this guy. All of that to say, I've taken a fancy to Leopold Kerfield here, who is an Austrian international playing for Bayern Munich in this save game. If we do just quickly compare him with Arian B, I actually feel like there's not a huge difference between these two players. I mean, when you look at the polygon, I feel like you'd argue that Arian B is better. When you then look at the attribute breakdown, I think maybe it swings slightly in Leopold's favour. If we look at these players as ball-playing centre-backs, Arian B probably technically better as a centre-back, but the mentals and the physicals, I think, well, I was going to say I think they go to Leopold. I'm now looking at it more. I feel like I'm selling Arian B. Shaw. I don't think Kerfeld's worth using this signing on. I do feel like with our wildcard signings, it's always better to look for slightly younger players, players who are going to grow with the team and have some long-term value. Looking through these players here, Carney Chukwuemeka pops up. If he could play in the wide areas, he would not be a terrible option, although he's not really developed in his time at Chelsea. Simic has popped up again. Looked at him previously. He'd be a good striking option. He could also be a depth player in the wide areas, but I just have some question marks over whether or not he's got much more potential to fulfill. I actually really like the look of Daniel Bernard here, who plays for Salzburg. This guy is an enthusiastic centre-back, professional personality, 19 determination, really, really good mental, some good potential as well. Last year was playing with Salzburg's B team. He wouldn't get anywhere near our first team right now, but he could be an interesting longer-term option. I was going to say pending the price. £6 to £8 million for this guy. I guess the primary concern is at 18 years old, he's not got the craziest heading ability, and his jumping ability isn't great either. As far as right-backs go, I have seen better, but he is 18. Another young option I could go for is someone like Maximilian Lehner here. This guy is a goalkeeper. We need a goalkeeper. It's the one area I've not really mentioned. Jovic is a great starter. I don't have that second choice option. Could Maximilian Lehner be the option for us to go with here? Here he is in blue, definitely a step down from Jovic, but Jovic, of course, very likely to be playing every single game he's available for. I guess the question mark is, do you want to pay £7.6 million for a backup goalkeeper? Yes, he's young, but it's not like we've got an aging goalkeeper who will eventually be looking to phase out. I think when it comes to the goalkeeping department, an old German's probably suffice. Filip Rastanic here looks great, except inconsistent, hates important matches, 9 finishing for a striker. If he could play in the wide areas, I'd probably take a punt on him. He looks like an interesting player, that's for sure. Last year did get 12 goals in the Bundesliga, but I don't love the 9 finishing. Having looked at all the options available, I am quickly coming around to the idea that Junior Adamu could actually be the best option for us. This guy is a proven Bundesliga goal scorer. If we are not going to find another striking option with our wildcard signing, with Notto looking like he's not going to be cheap, maybe it is just worth spending £20 million on someone like Junior here. 26 years old, has only just turned 26 as well. Proven goal scorer, really good physicals, just has the mould of a good striker in Football Manager this year. Physicals all in a good little area. Kind of wish he was a bit stronger and had better balance, but it's just the wages. It's just the wages. I'm going to ask about availability. 19 to £29 million. He's going to want over £100,000 potentially. Let's see if we can negotiate a bid with Freiburg, which I think we are going to be able to do here. And then let's brace ourselves for what could be unreasonable wage demands. I'm going to hope they are reasonable. Okay, Southampton have some rumoured interest in Adamu, but our bid's been accepted. Now, let's see what his demands are looking like. How much does he want? £130,000 a week. For comparison, current highest earner, Adriano, is on £82,000 a week. I can't offer him this kind of money anyway, so I'm going to have to be a bit of a hard negotiator and hope we can make something work here that he's going to be happy with. I am tempted to really just sneak in a relegation release clause. Given our recent relegation, I feel like that's something that might actually work in our favour when it comes to these negotiations. Also going to give him some bonuses if he actually scores goals. I will give him £1 million if he's top goal scorer in the league and another £1 million if he gets 20 goals in the season. That might be too generous, but it's what I'm willing to offer him. I'm only willing to go up to £100,000, but I'm going to go down to 95 and hope that he'll entertain it. He has not entertained that there, has he? Right, let's try and find the middle ground here. Let's try and make him happy. I'll give him £500,000 if he scores 10 goals. Now he's happy. If he scores goals, he will bankrupt me. If he scores goals, though, I think we'll be successful. This is definitely an example of a player who, when I look at his attributes, I'm not as sold on him. But when I look at his goal-scoring record for the Bundesliga, I'm sat thinking, well, if Freiburg can get these kind of goal numbers out of him, what can I do as the human manager? Surely I'll be able to do better. The computer can't be smarter than me. While that is going on, I'm tempted to go back in for Wilfried Notto, but just try a slightly different deal. Now, whether or not I'd sign Adamu and Notto is... I probably won't, if I'm being honest, but I'm just curious to see if there's a means by which I can negotiate a deal here with Brighton that is beneficial and doesn't cost me a load of money immediately. I've made a bid here of close to £50 million. They've told me they think they can get more. I will go as high as £55 million. Is he even worth £55 million, Wilfried Gnonto? He's a very, very good player. He could be a very good striker. His versatility means he could play in the wide areas if needed. If we just compare him with Junior, I mean, there is no denying it. Gnonto is the better player, is 23 years old, and probably would be a better use of the money. Whether or not I go for both of them would be a question mark. But to be honest, with how things are looking, that probably isn't even going to be a debate I need to have, because I don't see how Gnonto's going to join us. Seems like there are some pretty decent options when it comes to backup goalkeepers. Christian Fruchel, he looks more than serviceable. Although for 14 to 22 million, that is not serviceable one. I'm not paying that much. There's definitely cheaper options out there. And one such option might be a familiar face that we had once upon a time at Union Berlin. Yusufu, signed by Benfica for £8 million. Last year was on loan in the 3rd division in Germany. Played football but wasn't particularly good. He's actually available as a loan option. I wonder if Benfica would loan him to me with the proviso that he will also be the backup goalkeeper. In terms of what they want for him, they want not an outrageous sum of money, £1 million. We'll pay his wages as well, which are only £8,000. Optional future free of £3 million. It sounds good to me. They're happy with it. Hopefully he's happy with it too. If I get in Yusufu, I could potentially make him our B-team goalkeeper, look to get in a more senior goalkeeper who's the immediate backup. At the moment, we literally have one goalkeeper who I could trust in the first team. I kind of need to add 2 new ones. Think I might have found a pretty good backup option here. Florian Muller of Freiburg. Decent player for them. Decent player, full stop, to be honest. When you compare him to Jovic, he might be too good. He's too good, isn't he? I wouldn't be able to play him as the backup. He'd be unhappy. Taking me a while to find an appropriate backup, but I think Luca here will do the business. Last year, he was relegated with Karlsruhe, despite the fact that he kept 9 clean sheets in 29 games, which seems like a pretty good return. Consistent goalkeeper, good import matches. He's not actually that good a goalkeeper, but in terms of backups, for £325,000, he'll do. Okay, goalkeeping position sorted. Still need a left back. One player who jumps out at me immediately is Felix Agu, available for between 4.6 and 6.6 million. In terms of backup left backs, I feel like you could do a lot worse for the price. There is one other man who sticks out. Luca Netz, available for £17 million. It's not cheap, but this guy, transfer listed after the club decided he doesn't have a role to play in the team, despite the fact he started 29 league games last year. Yeah, you can see here, apparently they don't have a role for him, which just seems mental. He's available for 17 million, so I think I'm going to make a bid. At the same time, I'm very tempted to make a bid for Felix Agu, or maybe Borna Sosa, 29 years old, Croatian international, partially German nationality, means that he would, be within our signing requirements. He's actually a really good fullback option. Is he better than Agu? I think he probably is. Maybe not quite as good defensively, but definitely worth putting in an offer. With all these players, I'm kind of curious to see their wage demands and see who might be the one to go for. So we'll make some offers, see how much we'd actually have to pay to sign them. Does seem like Agu might not be quite as cheap as we were hoping, but still at £6 million or so, he'd be a good little addition. 6.25? 6.25. There's 3 left backs there. I'd love to know in the comments, which would you go for? Agu at 6.25. Sosa is available for a little bit less, but is lacking in the physicals department. Maybe makes up for it with his set-piece ability. His crossing's really good. His mentals are solid as well. Or do we reunite with Luca Netz? That might be a dilemma I leave you guys with going into next episode. The other position I wouldn't mind getting a bit more depth in is the centre of the midfield. Already talked about this a little bit, but it's definitely an area where I feel like we could do better. We need to do better. Looking at the players actually scouted here, it's not like there's a load of players with good current ability available. Some players with a little bit of potential, players like Amoako, who, I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to develop enough to be in our team. Biscoff as well, not quite good enough. If we look at players sorted by price, there's a few other options there. But young centre mids, they don't seem to really exist unless we go with Satoshi Urata, which, I mean, his release clause is now 48 million. I'm not going for Satoshi at that price. I've spotted a 19-year-old German centre attacking mid playing in Chile. I mean, a German in South America, we'll call it a coincidence. He has played for the Chilean national team. He's now playing for the main German team. I mean, depending on the price, he might be worth signing just to be a player that we sign. A little bit concerned that he might think he's better than he is and that he should be in the first team. Could pick him up for not an unreasonable price. Maybe we just sign him to put him in the B team. Maybe I should be making a few more signings like this for kind of longer term gain. It's going to cost me a little bit more than I want to spend. £1.8 million for him, but I feel like it's worth a punt. Okay, we've got some goalkeeping options we're looking at. We've got some left-back options. I need to make a decision between these three guys. Let me know in the comments who you'd go for. I feel like they're all evenly matched in terms of what they offer for attributes to price. I guess it comes down to how much do you really want to spend on the backup left-back? And also, do I really need someone that much better than Vitali Becker? I probably don't. When it comes to the rest of the team as well, if there's any positions where maybe I'm not as comfortable as I think I am, maybe I'm being complacent, maybe I've got the blinkers on and I'm not seeing a problem with this squad as I stare at it, let me know it down in the comments. When we go into the second part of the transfer special tomorrow, maybe I'll have a chance to fix any glaring errors. From a content creation point of view, today has been a little bit crazy with the announcement of FM25. I actually had to record that video that you maybe saw yesterday during this video. So it's been a bit chaotic, but hopefully we've managed to produce a cohesive transfer special, or I guess a video as cohesive as these ones tend to be. They always have a bit of chaotic energy. Maybe next time out things will be calmer and less frenetic. I feel like the squad's in a good spot. The striking position is still a concern. I don't know if Notto or Junior are the solution, truth be told. Maybe you guys have a better idea. Yeah, I don't know. I don't love either of them, which is a bit concerning when I'm potentially spending £78 million on the two of them. We're going to wrap things up there. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Back tomorrow more. Until then, take things easy. It's me, Jack, and I'll see you all again on the next one. I'm out.